Happy New Year, Capricorns! Are you ready for your January 2026 rocket start and rocket launch? Let's have an aligned astro chat about it. Hello all, Stacy the Black Feather Intuitive, and welcome to your Transformational Tarot for January of 2026 for the Capricorns. And this is for your Sun, Moon, and Rising, as well as for your Venus and Mars placements, if you are wanting to follow that and get some energy around that. And this is also for those of you who have a Capricorn in your life that you love. It's great to keep in touch with our friends and family members and understanding what their plights might be in that energetic energy. So, what we are going to be pulling cards from for the overarching theme is the Healing Spirits Tarot from Gordon Smith. And then the deck that called to me for you guys today is the Cosmic Tarot, and this is by Norbert Lösche. It's been around for a long time. It's a pretty popular deck. So, all right, without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so as I'm shuffling up and getting a theme for you guys, I am so freaking excited to share with you after 11 years of being on YouTube. I finally am at a place where I get to offer memberships to my subscribers. So if you are interested in keeping the conversation going, maybe going a little deeper on some of this stuff, I've got 3 different tiers. You can click on the join button to check out what the offerings are. Would love to be able to connect with you guys in this way. All right, so here we have, heal the past and fix tomorrow. Wow. Okay, this makes a lot of sense, Caps, because I know you guys have been through the ringer of it. Definitely over the last 4 or 5 months. Maybe it's even just been the year, period, end of story. I feel like every Capricorn transformational reading that I do, you guys are always, in some kind of major whatever it is that's going on and trying to figure it out. So I feel like January is basically saying whatever it is that you put your focus to in terms of wound healing in January is going to have that domino effect and resolve some of the issues that are going on moving forward in your future. I keep hearing higher focus on manifestation for you, understanding that we co-create the experiences that we wish to have. We co-create that level of energy. We say, I like this and not that. I prefer this and not that. And so I feel like January is inviting you to really step in and play the part. Really own the fact that you are a co-creator. You get to put your order in, at the restaurant of the universe. And the universe is going to provide. It's going to deliver. But it delivers based on how you give the order, how you connect to that order. If you connect to it with a lot of fear, with a lot of anger, with a lot of frustration, you're going to get a lot of that back, right? So I always like to say, be clear of heart, clear of thought, clear of soul, because when you are, or pure of thought, actually I say pure of thought, pure of heart, pure of soul, because when you're pure of all of those things, then the clarity comes in and you're able to manifest the experiences that you really wish to have. And understand that what you have been going through has been, while very unpleasant, has been necessary to your divine blueprint because you've been doing a lot of soul work. It's the ascension path. And okay, we got, it's a bunch that turned over, so we'll just keep going. We'll just keep shuffling with that. But it's definitely the ascension path. And you're here for bigger things, for greater things. It's going to happen. But we have to clear out what is no longer. We have to face our wounds. We have to face the choices that we make that get us into trouble so that we can understand the part that we play in our own lives. So, all right, let's see. Where are you at presently in your transformational journey? What part of you is shifting, rising, or dissolving? Ace of Cups. Wow. So I wish there was, instead of a shifting, rising, or dissolving, there was a wish, because I just keep hearing the word wish. Ace of Cups, where you're at, I want to say, I don't know that your love cup is full and overflowing right now. I feel actually like you're feeling a bit drained, or you're feeling like there's some toxin in the water, and the water isn't pure. Speaking of that, pure of thought, pure of heart, pure of soul, you're needing a recharge, and you've got big dreams, big goals, and I think that's wonderful. Aces are pure potential. It's a yes from the universe. It's saying, hey, try something different, try something new. We've got your back. But you've got to drink from the cup. And if you're drinking from the cup and the cup is poisoned or tainted, or it's gone sour, or it's stale, it's not going to be the most pleasant experience. Kind of like what I was saying before about the co-creation piece. You got to clean out the water. You got to purify your water. Now, what is water? Water is our ocean of emotion. Water is our psychic energy. If that isn't clear and pure, you're going to continue to manifest into your life, I want to say, lessons, right? And it doesn't always have to be lessons, or it can be lessons, but we don't always have to learn lessons through strife and hardship and pain and discomfort. As humans, I want to say that seems to be the path du jour, but I also feel like that's something that can change. We are in the energy of change and shift right now. It doesn't always have to be that way. We can learn through happiness and joy and things coming together and being smooth and effortless. Let's just bring on more of that. So I feel like this is what you're wishing for, and I would say the word that I would attach to this is dissolving. You need to dissolve the gunk, the particulate, the toxic that is in that ocean of emotion. I keep being shown like a pool, and I remember years ago I had my own pool for a very brief period of time. It was delightful. And every week I'd have to test it, and I'd have to put in all of the little chemicals and dump in the chlorine and all that kind of stuff in order to purify the water, to keep that water crystal clear and safe for everybody to go in and to swim in and enjoy. Because our skin is an organ and it absorbs everything. So if you think about that in terms of your energetic field, you absorb everything unless you put some barriers, some boundaries around that, and you need some energetic hygiene. And that's what I feel this is speaking to this month. This is a month for a lot of energetic hygiene. The catalyst, what's fueling or hindering your transformation? Is this resistance or rocket fuel? Interesting. So I feel like some of you are seeking revenge, and whether this is, I want to say, conscious or subconscious, I feel that the path of revenge, what do they say? Revenge is a dish best served cold, but also I want to say when we go into a place of vengeance or revenge, we tend to go down with the ship. It tends to twist us and turn us into something that we aren't, or leads us down the path of the shadow rather than the path of the light. And the fact that she's got these light beams, freaking laser beams attached to their heads, right? From Austin Powers. It's kind of like, I want to say she's maybe laser beam focused on the wrong things. And when we talk about justice, justice is a part of detachment. And it's learning to detach from the emotional component of things so that you can step more fully into the objectivity. Did this person break the law? If yes, here's how they broke it. Okay, then this is the punishment. They broke it by doing this and this and this, so here's the punishment. If they didn't break the law, all right, be on your merry way, behave, and thank you so much for your, for the process and moving on. When we get caught up in revenge or vengeance, we get caught up in resentment, bitterness, and not to say that anger is a bad thing. No emotion is bad. Too much of anything is not great and throws us off balance. So I feel like the catalyst here is you recognizing where you're a little bit out of balance, where you've been focusing on wanting to get revenge, or wanting to see someone receive their revenge. There we go. To receive their comeuppance, right? To receive their due. And I'm going to say to you, this month, heal the past and fix tomorrow. What has transpired, it's not right, it's not fair, it's uncomfortable, and maybe it is even unjust, but it's part of your past. So you don't want to live in the past. You want to be focusing on where you're going, moving forward. And so I feel like justice is going to be the catalyst to say, where do you really want to put your focus? Because where you put your focus, you manifest. That's how you're creating. That's how you're co-creating. So, put your eyes, put your focus, and that light, that beautiful light that is coming from you, put that on the things that really matter. Put that on the things that really make a difference and that are going to get you to where it is that you want to be. Yeah, so it's easier said than done at times, especially if you've really been wronged, but I also would say to you, maybe be detached from it a little bit, and don't be afraid to look at the part that you've been playing in that as well. What is the role that I've been playing in this? Because at the core of things, that's the key to being able to move forward without a heavy heart. That's the key to being able to move forward, I want to say, through the pathway and the portal of forgiveness. You might not be able to forgive by the end of January, but if you're on the path towards it, you'll get there. You'll get there. I feel like that's where the focus needs to be. Deep root. What deep belief, wound, or soul contract is driving this transformation under the surface? Here we have the Four of Wands. Interesting. So you're wanting a little more stability. You're wanting to graduate. And I feel like for some of you, it's a general reading, so take what works for you, leave the rest behind. Some of you are still looking back saying, things were better then. I was better then, or I had a better handle on things then. And I wish that was now. And I want to say, okay, wishes are wonderful, but they're potential only. They lack meat and potatoes. And this is about you manifesting those meat and potatoes. So this is establishing a foundation. I'm going to say to you, just as an example, something that I've recognized about myself just in the last, I don't know, year and a half, that before my marriage, before I connected with my ex-husband, I felt I had been doing a lot of work, a lot of self-awareness work, a lot of self-help, a lot of therapy, a lot of coaching, and really did the work to do the deep dive, the hard look at myself. And I made a lot of changes and felt healthy for the first time in my life, like mentally and emotionally healthy, mentally and emotionally capable of being able to, be in relationship and to hold my own and, stand my ground and all the things and the stuff. And not saying that it was my marriage or my husband's fault. It wasn't. But during that process and then the years after, I went from being very healthy to going backwards, to falling back into old dysfunctional patterning. And it was really like a shock to me. And it took me a while to recognize, oh yeah, you have spiraled backwards. You no longer can you say, you're making healthy choices in this situation or that scenario or whatever. So I had to face the hard truth and recognize that it's time to establish a new foundation. And I feel, Caps, like that's what's happening here. It's like a strong invitation to not look back at what was and say, oh, I wish. No, instead to say, okay, well, I got there once before. Time for me to get there again. And no time like the present. I need to do the hard work. She's standing on her tippy toes and she's doing some ballet move. I'm sure that her feet are hurting. Maybe she hasn't practiced in a really long time, and her feet are going to hurt, but she's just reminding herself, oh, I got this. I still got this. There is foundation that I can work towards. It's just time for me to move up. It's time for me to do the next level of work. So I feel like when we talk about the deep root, this, I feel, is the reason why. It's like you've not been looking at the full picture of where you're at and why you're there. But January is going to bring you, I want to say, some clarity around that. And not necessarily in a harsh way, but I want to say in a very clear-cut, truthful way. In a way that you're not going to be able to unsee. You're not going to miss it. And For a couple of you, I'm feeling that this is a work related situation where you're going to need to kind of tread lightly, pay attention to your reactions versus your responses. And I want to say measure twice and cut once. So really pay attention to the details, and you and your behavior, your responses are details. Pay attention to that before you kind of open your mouth and say something or have a response. Give yourself time to really think through what it is that you want to say. So that's people at work. I'm hearing that very specific messaging that's coming through. Okay, past phase. What's dying away? What role, pattern, or identity has run its course? Interesting. First thing I'm getting here is Gemini energy, duality. And I feel like this is really what is needing to die away in your life. This is what has brought you backwards a little bit, is some duality. Maybe you are walking up a line of integrity with yourself. Maybe you are not being completely honest with yourself that the shadow side of you has been running the show and not the in the light side of you. When the Lovers comes up, it means a lot of different things, but I'm hearing for you guys today, when the Lovers comes up, it's really an indication of you not feeling whole. And you are whole, but it's about practicing living as though that wholeness is there. Even if you're feeling fragmented, it's knowing that you're whole and making choices from that wholeness perspective and that wellness perspective. And I feel like that's really big right now. So anything that goes against your levels of integrity, do not walk a line. This is not a time to be wishy-washy. This is not a time to, I want to say, stand in the middle. This is a time to choose. Which side am I choosing? Which side of the fence am I going to make my home? Which resource am I committing myself to? Because if you're in the middle, you got 1 foot in one and 1 foot in the other, your energies and your focus is divided. But here, heal the past and fix tomorrow. If I'm healing the past, if I'm moving beyond the past, then I need to always be moving forward. And I feel like that's why the Lovers is coming up. The Lovers is about choice, reflection, self-reflection, and the reflection of yourself and in others' eyes, but also choice. And I feel, Caps, like this is a month where you are being faced with a choice. And yes, we can say, okay, it's a choice to set yourself up for success for the year. We've just had this, new year energy, yada, yada. Awesome. Great. Wonderful. You don't need to be psychic to know that. But what I'm feeling here is you, Caps, very specifically, have the choice right now in this month to leave that old behavior and that old patterning behind and to pave a new path. Even if you have to carve out that path with your own scythe, if that path hasn't been walked before, maybe it hasn't been walked by you before. And there may be some fear around doing it alone. And I feel like you want to connect to self and source. Even if there isn't another soul on the planet that you're doing this with, you want to connect to source energy because your angels and guides are there. Source energy is there to support you. It just feels weird when we're in the physical. It doesn't feel like it's enough, or we can self-doubt, we can doubt the guidance, but it's there for you. So I feel like lean into that, because when you're leaning into human help, I almost feel, Caps, like leaning into human help steers you backwards, right? It keeps you looped. It keeps you in the spiral right now until you get to a place where you feel the healing, where you've selected the healing and chosen the healing. You're going to feel like, I feel a little codependence with this, feeling a little codependence, but you can let that go. And I feel like that's what is dying away. And that's good. That's a good thing. Highest Phoenix potential. So what can rise from the ashes? What is your soul calling you toward? This is your breakthrough energy. Ooh, interesting. Prince of Pentacles. So Prince of Pentacles in this deck is the Knight of Pentacles. So Caps, you know that you guys are earth signs. Pentacles is your element. And that Knight of Pentacles is on a quest, but he takes his time. He takes his time to get there. He's the guy that stops and smells the roses. You know, he'll eventually get there to where you need to be. There's no doubt about that. But he's going to be the one that might show up really late to the party, or he might show up just in the nick of time and not necessarily be fully prepared, right? There's a slow and steady wins the race energy to this. And so I feel like that's kind of the breakthrough energy is maybe you've been trying desperately to figure this out to get it done, you know, like that overnight, in a blink, in a pinch. Oh, I was so much more healed before my marriage, right? Just like what I was saying. And I've been divorced now. God, well, we've been separated for like, I think it's 8 years this year, 7 or 8 years this year. That's a long time. And again, I'm not saying that the damage happened in the divorce. I actually feel like it happened after the divorce, to be honest. So it really had nothing to do with that. But as a benchmark, I know I was healthier then than I am now, right? And so I can dwell on that. I can look backwards and say, well, I used to be that way, so that I must still be that way. It must still be in there. I'm going to say, okay, yeah, it's still there, but you need to apply it. You need to put it into practice. And not paying attention to it, ignoring it, or pretending that you are when you aren't is not great. So Prince of Pentacles is coming through to give you permission to take your time, to understand that this is the long game. And it may take you a little while to find your equilibrium, I want to say, to find your balance, if we talk about that Justice card energy. But one baby step towards your future is a baby step towards your future. You're not going backwards, you're going forwards, right? Even if it's, slower paced. So it's permission to release the concept of time, to release this idea that you've got to be a certain way or in a certain status or position or mental or emotional state in order to be able to take a step forward. No, you don't. You can take a step forward right now in exactly the position that you're in exactly the state that you are in. Your guides don't judge. Interesting. Okay, what's emerging just around the corner? What energy or experience is coming in to support your next phase? Oh, interesting. Okay, well, you got two. So let's take a look at what we got here. King of Swords. Oh, interesting. And Queen of Swords. Wow. Okay, you saw me shuffle. So we've got counterparts here. This is really important because I feel like at the end of the day, for a lot of you Caps, this is what you're seeking out. You're seeking the wholeness. You're seeking the lovers, the two becoming one. King and Queen of Swords is an interesting pairing because they are all very like in the head, thoughtful. They deal with things from a very cerebral, communicative perspective. They talk things out. They plan things. They can be very direct. They can be very cutthroat at times if they're leaning in, to more of the shadow side. But I feel like what this is really saying is you want to get your thoughts together. You want to bring yourself into balance. And the King and Queen of Swords is going to do that. They each carry their sword because it's a sword of truth, just like the Archangel Michael or Archangel Michael, tomato. He uses a sword of truth to cut through the bullshit and the red tape. He cuts through so that the clarity is there. And didn't we talk about clarity when we were, the Ace of Cups, and I was talking about purity and clarity. Purity brings clarity, right? So King and Queen of Swords, the fact that it's showing up right now, emerging, is that you are seeking wholeness, but you've got to bring your mental state in alignment with everything else. And the mental state, I'm going to say to you, the mental state gets really damaged sometimes or gets a little off track because it's not where the ego is housed. The ego is housed in the solar plexus chakra energy and the sacral chakra energy. That's where it sits, but ego communicates through our mind. Right? It's our mind. And that's where the anxiety comes up, comes from. And we get all, crazy and in our heads. We overthink, we overanalyze, we can be cruel with our thoughts to ourselves and to others, depending on what's going on. So the counterparts are coming through to say it's time for all of this to come together. So there's cohesion, because we want cohesiveness. We want peace. We want the peace dove energy here. We want to be able to see very clearly with the eagle eye energy. And we want to be brought together. Look, he's got all these flames, beautiful flames on his shirt, kind of implying like the wand energy, right? Passion, fire. There's passion and fire here. There's a lot of heart that you can feel with both the king and the queen of swords. They get a bad rap, right? But this is what needs to come together. So I feel like this is what you can really lean into. You can get excited about that, but you have to kind of say yes to it. You have to kind of choose it. Because if you're not choosing it, it's not necessarily going to choose you. It's going to present itself to you. It's going to make itself known. It's going to make itself available. But you've got to be able to say yes to it. Okay. Your role in this shift and process. How are you navigating this transformation? Are you resisting, flowing, grieving, or boldly rising? Interesting. The Hermit. Grieving. I feel like there's so much grief that is going on, Caps. And maybe that's why this has been so challenging for you, because, you know, if this resonated with you, what I was saying about kind of slipping back into old patterns, old habits, I feel like there is some sadness in the way we were, right? There's sadness in, well, it was so much easier when I was there. Here's the thing, you haven't lost that. It's just buried, right? You're in a different position. So the Hermit card is coming through to say it's time for that tough self-awareness journey. It's time for that deep look within in order to be able to determine where it is that you want to go. And I keep hearing it's about realigning your North Star. What is your North Star compass, your internal North Star compass? That, I feel, is what is really transpiring here. But you've got to do the hard work. You've got to look at the role that you play in your own life and what the choices are that you've made that have kind of brought you into this space and this place. Again, this isn't about like blaming you, like all these bad, horrible things that have happened, like you brought this on yourself. No. That the spiritual part of us, you know, if you buy into the, you know, the divine blueprint that we make these choices, okay, that's all fine and good. But when we're here, it's super fucking painful. I'm not, you know, taking that away from anyone. And I'm not saying you did this to yourself, because that's not the case. But this is what you're dealing with. And you do have the ability to co-create yourself into this further or out of it. And I feel like that's what the Hermit card is coming through to acknowledge within you and to invite you to step into a little bit more is okay, it's time for me to do that self-awareness deep dive. It's okay that I'm blending the divine masculine and feminine within me. I'm doing all of that, but it's also okay that I'm having to do it solo to be able to figure out who I am and to find my healthy balance before I start to bring other people into the mix. And I'm not talking about just strictly romantic partnership. I'm talking across the board. You know, I feel like a lot of you are struggling on a number of different fronts in your life with, you know, sometimes it's coworkers. Sometimes we just have it where, okay, everything else is great, but it's at work that I'm struggling with my coworkers. Sometimes it's one friend. Sometimes it's a group of friends. Sometimes it's a family member. Sometimes it can be a mixture of all. There's something about this energy, Caps, where I feel like a lot of you are dealing with a lot of different issues with relationship challenges. And so this is what needs to be done in order to figure out what to realign with your true north or to align with your true north. Circles of support. Who or what is influencing your transformation right now? And is it positive or negative? Oh, beautiful. So we have the Princess of Cups, Page of Cups energy. So creative endeavors, doing things a little bit differently, not doing anything unless it is fun. I feel is really important. Also paying attention to the messages that the universe is sending out to you on a very regular basis. Feeling like it can be the flock of birds. It can be the seeing, a pink car drive by you 3 different times. Well, there aren't that many pink cars, so that's a sign. Seeing something on a license plate, getting angel numbers on all of your receipts and things of that nature. Paying attention to the signs. The universe is really wanting to support you through this. And yes, you have, I want to say, human support as well, but I'm really feeling that this is about your angels and guides, your divine dream team, source energy saying, lean on us for a change. Lean on us. We'll give you the next steps because you're asking for it. We'll give you the next steps so that you can feel confident in moving forward and understanding that, yeah, you are kind of having to be gentle with yourself and others. You're having to maybe start from scratch a little bit from an emotional perspective because there's some tenderness. But we're here to give you what you need in order to be able to make this happen in a way that is going to be positive and beneficial for you. And also ask them to make it a little easy. Go easy on me. Give me something to ease me into this, right? Because I want to feel this way and I don't want to feel like I've got to do, 15 years worth of work to get back to this. I want to feel it in the now. So it's about that creative approach and allowing source energy to inform your choices, to hold your hand, to, have that playful tea ceremony, or go and do a wine and paint night, or, create some pottery. Just get out and be creative for the sake of creation. That's how you're going to really connect to self and source this month. Hopes and fears. What are you dreaming of becoming and what scares you about actually doing it? Interesting. You're afraid of the work. You're afraid of the effort. You're afraid that, and I have to point out the spiral here, and then the 8 of Pentacles is showing up, not in a spiral exactly, but in a circle, and the rose has a little bit of that spiralic energy in the center of it. So these two things are very connected. You're afraid of the effort and the work because it was painful to get here. And if you backslid, you're worried about the pain that you're going to have to relive and go through again. But I want to say to you, you've mastered a lot already. This is a card of mastery. This is a card of higher education and learning. Instead of seeing you as backsliding, see it as this was the level that I was supposed to be at, and now I'm graduating to the next level where there's going to be a little bit of different work. And with every level that we go to, we always do a review of what transpired before so that everybody's fresh. You've got that kind of where you've been and what your goals are in terms of where you're going forward. It's foundational. It's foundational. So you're on the path to mastery and you're going to get there. You're going to get to the next level. You're going to get to your graduation. No doubt. You got there. And it's not going to take you as long, but it is going to require you having to look. She's got, there's a light focus here on the card. She's going to have to look at each one of these pentacles. She's going to have to do the devil is in the details, right? She's going to have to take a look at the details. And that's what I feel is coming up for you, Caps. It might not be pleasant and fun. You've got to look at the hard stuff because that's how you're going to grow to the next level. You've got support. Be creative about it, but it is time to move forward. The 8 of Pentacles, again, that card of mastery, it's also a big card of abundance. It's a card of success. So your success is assured here. Lean into that to help you stay motivated to do the work and to move forward. Success is assured, 100%. So if you knew that your success was assured, how would that change or inform the choices that you make? All right. And who are you going to be on the other side of this journey if you stay on course in January? What is the result of embracing the full death and rebirth Phoenix cycle? Oh my goodness. You started off with an Ace of Cups, which is that emotional stuff. You're now at the Ace of Swords. And I have to point out, we have the King and the Queen of Swords, the counterparts. Now you've got new potential with new thought. So this says to me, by the end of January, if you've committed yourself to this direction and this path, you are going to find that wholeness piece. And it's that wholeness piece that I feel is really going to be the goal. Like, that's the goal. That's the alignment. Also, I keep talking about aligning to your true north, and I'm seeing this, sword that is pointing north. It's pointing upward. So I feel like you're going to get to where it is that you need to be. 100% hands down. Love this. Wow. Okay, so Capricorns, that is your transformational tarot for January. As always, if you need some support, you know where to find me. Click on the link below, book a session. I am more than happy to help support you through some of these challenging times. I have been there, so I got you. And it's also year-end preview season and year-end transformation season. I still have some random spots available throughout January here. If you want to get a sneak peek from a predictive perspective about what's coming up for you in 2026, book the year-end preview session. We pull cards for each month of the year, and I get really specific about what is going to be coming up for you throughout that year. And then if you are going through some major transformations and you are wanting to understand what your soul's purpose and what your transformations are going to be for 2026 so you can make the most of it, that's where you want to book the year-end transformation. You're going to get a channeling, you're going to get an in-depth card pull, you're going to get reflection questions, a meditation, a transformational support guide, like a personalized affirmation. I mean, you get it all. It's everything I do wrapped up into one session. So would love to connect with you guys in that way. Otherwise, so excited to be doing this wild ride called life with you in 2026. We will see you on the flip side, and transform well.